Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of, correct me if I'm wrong, the number one podcast in the world right now.
Don't know how accurate that is.
It's pretty accurate.
It's like right on par.
No one will fact check us.
I, of course, am Patrick, and to my left we have D. Vaughn,
What's up, everybody?
and in front of me we have Mr. Mesa,
Yo, what's up?
and to my right we have Nay.
Hello.
Hello.
And we're back after taking a hiatus. We're gone for a whole week, guys. I saw Twitter blowing up saying like, "Where is the episode of Correct Me If I'm Wrong?"
Yeah, that's my fault. I apologize. I tried to copy. I was trying to copy the link and then post it on Facebook, and I did. I made a post. I was thinking about what I was gonna say on Facebook.
And you chickened out.
I didn't chicken out. Like I thought I copied the link. I went to Facebook. All right, I have something to say. Cool. I posted it. And I was thinking to myself, I did good. Then I looked back at YouTube. We're not getting any views, guys. I only saw like 2 or 3. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Cody comments on there. Buddy Cody said like, but I can't seem to find the link. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to put the link.
Hey, he like described the episode.
Without
I was
the
like,
link?
no link. No,
Nice.
No.
Link.
And then we didn't do it last week because I couldn't even talk. I was all sick and like, welcome to Correct Me If I'm Wrong.
Walking Dead over there.
So yeah, but we're back.
How was y'all's vacation?
It was awesome, dude. Cruises are like the greatest thing ever. I think I've said that before, but the greatest thing. You know what's super crazy, right? So we had this comedian.
Yes.
Yeah, we had this comedian, right, talk about how like cruises are like a super American thing to do. Okay. And they would say how like you pull up in this other country in this big old ship and you wreck the port and you kind of leave, right?
I'm taking over.
Yeah. And but he's like, and all you guys get to say that you've been in another country, but realistically you've never been in another country. You just go to this tiny little port, right? So we all laugh, right? So on our last trip we go to Grand Turk. Right, so we stopped. It's a beautiful island. It's like 7 miles long. The resort's beautiful. The water's gorgeous. It's absolutely amazing. And so we're like, well, let's go downtown. Grand Turk, get out of the resort, go downtown, check it out, right? And so we go up to the information guy to kind of get some information. And we're like, hey, weird that you would go up to the information guy to get information.
Right.
So we go up to him. And we're like, hey, man, we want to get some cool souvenirs. He's like, oh, yeah, go right here to this building. And we're like, no, we want to leave the resort. And so he's like, we all want to go downtown? And we were like, yeah. He's like, huh, okay. So he calls a taxi for us, right? We get in the taxi. We immediately leave the resort, and it's just like, you know, it's run down. Like, it's like a third world country,
Sketchy.
dude. Yeah. So, like, the buildings are kind of torn down or boarded up, and he drives by their museum, and it's a city museum, and it's like a 2-story building that's boarded up and run down. It just and then we pull up into downtown, and it's really just like an alleyway with like 3 or 4 people trying to sell stuff.
Like in shacks.
Yeah, so it definitely made us think like, man, like you see, you know, something that you normally don't see on a regular basis, but. Other than that, it was awesome. I mean, it was awesome in general, but it definitely opens your eyes at some points where, you know.
Was Ground Turks, is that the country? Or is that a city in the country?
That is an island.
Island?
Right? And that island is owned by British.
Close enough.
It's owned by, yeah. And so they even like drive on the other side of the road. They drive on the wrong side of the road. And
Yeah. It's not the same one we wrote because it's wrong. You're right. 100% wrong.
It's not American.
America. It's good. But yeah, but it was cool. Like I won my ship on the stick, which is a trophy they give you when you win a competition, and I've been trying to win one forever now, and I finally won a ship on the stick, so
Kill it.
Woo woo!
Proud of you.
so that's cool. I dig that.
I will say you made it farther in that taxi drive than I would have. I'll tell you that much. I would have gotten out, seen some broken down minutes, like, can we go back?
Yeah, dude. So what's funny about it all, right? It's so like little backstory, right?
Yeah.
I get like bad feelings in those situations,
Oh,
right? So I want
I'm
to
with
bail.
you.
But Naomi and Devin are always calling me pansy, saying that like, oh, you're just paranoid. You're paranoid. I don't know why you do that. So this time, right, I get into this taxi. It's me, Nate, Cody, and a couple random people. But so we're driving, and I feel super sketchy about the whole situation. I just want to go back, but I'm tired of getting called a pansy and paranoid.
Man up.
So like I turn to Nate and I'm like, what do you want to do? I don't don't care.
No help at
And
all.
then so like I turn to Cody and I'm like, what do you want to do? I don't care. And I'm like, oh my god. So then like I'm going back and forth in my head like, okay, they always just say I'm paranoid. Maybe I'm just being paranoid right now, and maybe this is actually absolutely beautiful and it's not run down. And so I'm like, okay, then I guess we'll get off. When we get off, and we immediately get off, and the taxi leaves, and they're both like, I really just wanted to go back to the resort. And I was like, oh my god.
That sounds
yeah.
100% like Cody and Naomi.
Yep.
I wasn't scared until we started walking. Then it got scary.
Yeah. It was like dogs everywhere, but they were like ill fed, like they were like super skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was scary, but it was fun.
That's like that Uber I took in Baltimore. The Uber driver was like, yeah, make sure you don't roll your windows down and kind of keep your head low. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, no, we could get shot. And I was like, this is terrifying. Just take me to the airport. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That kind of reminds me when we went to Belize and we went to the minivan with the cracked windshield.
That was one of the, but see, like we both got the bad feeling. We
Yes.
both agreed on it. And we both verbally made it known. And we got out. These ones were both like, no, it's okay. Who cares? I don't care. Then so I had to make a decision based off of all this evidence, and apparently I made the wrong one.
But Belize seemed like it was more scary.
That was the difference.
It wasn't-
Belize,
Because they had like weapons, like
yes, Belize. I felt like
Soldiers.
literally scared of like I felt like something was gonna happen. Here, like it was more just poor, right?
Yeah.
There was not a time like I felt threatened. It was just like like it's a poor country. You can tell like they're doing as best as they can with what they have, but they don't have like obviously everything we have.
Yeah.
Kind of like, is it worth going over there at this point? Like, let's just go back to a resort because there's not much to
Yes. Yeah. But like it was, but it does put it in perspective because let's say I would have met someone, let's say I didn't go out of the resort, and I would have met someone one day from Grand Turk, and I would be like, oh man, I've been there, it's beautiful. They would have been like, oh, my
it's
God.
really not.
Yeah, so it puts it in a different perspective for sure. But yeah, so the other day, right, I was on YouTube. Weird, I know I never watch YouTube. Weird. Anyways, and I was watching an interview with. Do you guys remember Aaron Carter?
do. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was watching an interview with him, and he was absolutely crazy. He's like completely has a tattoo on his face. Not saying that everyone with tattoos on their face are crazy.
You offended a lot of people.
All of our viewers just look like we have 10,000 viewers that just have tattoos on their face. Just kidding. But no, and you kind of hear him talk and just realize that he's just like not there.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That dude is crazy, and you kind of see that consistently with like people who grew up in front of the camera, basically.
Child actors, child musicians.
How much of effect do you think it like has on them? Are we just is it the effect of them being in front of the camera, or is it these quote unquote we're just watching like these geniuses in their craft, and that just happens to be how people in that industry are?
Oh, I think it's more pressure than anything. I think it's more pressure to continuously try to stay famous, and I think those people, a lot of them just crack under the pressure, where it's from their friends, their family, their fans. They feel they have to be on top of their game all the time. I could imagine the amount of pressure on you at that point where you just crack. And if you're a child, you don't have that kind of mentality to be able to overcome that stuff. So I can see how it would absolutely make people seem a little crazy.
But isn't his brother like normal?
His brother's a little
Well, no,
older, though.
He's older, but they both remember they had
They were
that show
both young.
House of Carters, and both of them were crazy. They were both fighting all the time, and like that whole family was known for just being crazy.
Yep.
Like they were super crazy.
But I think even at that, though, the older brother was already like in his late teens,
Yeah.
right? When he was famous, and like Aaron was like a kid.
Yeah, he was. With the first interview we saw of him, he was 9 years old.
Oh, yeah. See, like that's ridiculous.
We'll say like Kylie Jenner. Okay.
Okay.
She's born into this, but her family obviously before she's become famous was already big.
Right.
Right. Then you take someone like these other people like Lindsay Lohan and stuff like that, where their parents weren't big. So going back to your pressure situation, it's a lot of pressure on coming from your family because they're like, come on, you can make it. Come
Yeah.
on, come. Rather than Kylie Jenner, oh, okay, good, you're doing a good job, right? The expectancy is different.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because you're not just trying to be famous and be popular or whatever. You're actually trying to save people's lives. Essentially, you're trying to make other people's lives better. So I can see it's completely different.
I think when it comes to the Kardashians, my bad. They were already famous. They already know how to handle that pressure. So I think they were able to show Kylie and Kendall how to handle that pressure of being famous.
And I think for Kendall too, coming in how old was she when she really got famous? She was already like in her late teens, right?
Yeah.
It's not like she was 9 years old or 10 years old. And even at that back then, they weren't like super famous like they are now. So they kind of, as almost an adult, they came into it. My example would be something like Justin Timberlake, for example, who was like famous as a kid, you know, doing like the Mickey Mouse stuff, and is still super famous and hasn't really had a ton of incidents where you can be like, he's kind of crazy.
How many like childhood? Okay, so I could think of Lindsay Lohan and
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Carter. Okay,
Like Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus,
Oh,
Britney
Miley
Spears.
Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus, I feel like had their spill.
Yeah, she
But
went
would
a
you
little bit
clarify?
crazy.
I wouldn't put her personally in the category of like Aaron Carter. To me, like Aaron Carter is just like off the loop, right?
Yeah.
I do think Miley Cyrus had her spill, so I can kind of throw her in there. Britney Spears, okay. But then you have a lot of. I wonder what the ratio is.
Oh yeah,
Is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Because I can think of like Hillary Duff, Raven Simone.
Raven
like
Simone's a little crazy.
She's a little crazy, but not Aaron Carter.
No, not Aaron Carter, but she compared to like maybe Justin Timberlake.
I think she's just more vocal. Like, I think
I'll
that's
give you
more
that.
of like a personality thing rather than something like Lindsay Lohan with these drugs and
Right.
Raven Simone is obviously way more vocal than like a Justin Timberlake is.
Oh.
Eric Carter reminds me of that YouTube star, the one that you were watching that was going through the manic.
OKB Productions. Shout out.
No, that YouTube
No, I was
star
kidding.
That
I
guy
know,
is
I know.
crazy.
I know what you're talking
I
about.
just
yeah.
thought of one.
Yeah.
Do you remember Orlando Brown from That's So Raven?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
That
He's
dude's
been-
crazy.
That
He
dude's
is
nuts.
crazy.
So the real question is, what I've been thinking about is, if you have a child and they're super, successful in a particular field, whether it be acting or music, do you let them become a child star, knowing the possibility of them kind of not being able to handle the publicity well?
I would say yes.
Okay.
I would, but it is crazy to think because you think on the other side how much they would be missing because
Yep.
They don't go to high school and stuff like that. But at the same time, like how much they'd be getting that we normal kids wouldn't have gotten.
Yep.
So I would say yes, like I would definitely would, but I would assume because again, like I'm going back to the ratio thing.
What the ratio is?
Yes, because I would assume if you're a strong parent, you're there for them and you're pushing them, and you're teaching them right, they're still going to go on the right path rather than maybe these other kids didn't have that.
And I think you make a good point, but I also think it's just like regular parenting, right? Where sometimes you have really good parents, and sometimes the kid
yeah.
still, finds a way to turn out, not so great. But now you run the threat on a whole nother level that like you could ruin the child's life at that point. You know what I mean?
I told Mason no. I would not let them.
Really?
He
No.
did. Yes.
So
he
even
said
if-
absolutely
even if-
not.
Even if your child
He's
is
gonna be a star.
yes, like he has this power that could because there's a lot of positives to it, right? Because he could grow up and if you teach him right, imagine knowing somebody and you know that they have a voice and you teach this person to use that voice to the greater good, right? Superhero, Batman, right? Your child could be that person. You could put good intentions in them, and they could grow up to teach other people at a grander scale great things. They could become an influencer. Like we talked about this a few podcasts ago, how there's not a lot of people today that are, there's not like one single person today that's like, is going to go down in American history as a huge influencer. So you're blocking your kid from essentially getting that voice.
Well, if my kid, okay, you know how that little yodel kid, Mason or whatever, Ramsey, like yodel, yodel, it'll be
That
different.
was a
He had,
perfect impersonation.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
but like he's famous and now he's getting a record deal because he was on the social media and now he's recognized. So what else is he going to do? Of course he's going to use that. But if my kid who is not that, I know that my kid has a great voice or he can act or could do something, I'd be like, that's great. I want them to hone their skills. I want them to have a normal childhood.
But how do you miss up on that opportunity?
So we were afraid
so
that maybe like we were saying the kid will resent you.
Yes, that was my first thing. Whenever he told me no, I was like, my first thing is I would imagine
Yes.
that kid would absolutely resent you at that point.
because it that could pass. Like, what if I'm a huge record label person? Okay, you like that?
That was perfect.
I see Mesa's kid in a local Walmart and he's yodeling. And I go up to Mesa and I want to make your child a star. Let's do it. Mesa says
No.
No. What are the chances of him becoming big and any other record label
Yeah.
ever see
Uh-huh.
him again? How many times in your life have you ever seen a very famous rich record labeler?
I've never seen a famous rich
Right in front of
record
you right
executive.
now.
Yes, right here. That's weird. That's awkward because I'm right here. Anyways, so like if that chance comes up to your child and you say nope, sorry, he's probably never gonna have that opportunity again.
He's never gonna have that opportunity. He can't go.
There's
just
a
try
good
out
possibility.
You know how many people are great singers and they never make it big.
Yeah.
And it's because it just happens to be the path. Justin Bieber got picked up by Usher.
Because
Right?
a YouTube
Because he
video.
saw him on YouTube. So what if his mom said, no, I want him to graduate high school first. He graduated high school, we've moved on, right? And it's a lot harder to get this Justin Bieber, who's now 10 years away from Usher, hasn't seen Usher in 10 years, to get him back into this limelight to get everyone to notice him again.
I think you make a great point, but I just think to myself, a lot of people we see, like as in Miley Cyrus, or we see Selena Gomez or Justin Bieber, they have that. They started as a child star, so we kind of hold them to that standard of being child star if they do something getting grown up as they get older. Like Miley Cyrus, she started like twerking and doing all this stuff, like kind of stuff we never seen.
Right.
We still think of her as Hannah Montana. During that time, it was still Hannah Montana. Am I correct? We're still thinking of her that way. But if we see a normal, like if we see Cardi B, if we see Nicki Minaj, or we see Lady Gaga doing something like what Miley Cyrus was doing at the time, it'll be like, oh, that's just them. That's just them. They wouldn't get that. They wouldn't be hated on that much.
So
Miley
he's trying
Cyrus
to set
was.
him up the right
I
way.
get what
He's
you're
trying to
saying.
say,
What is
like,
it?
You make it harder for them to grow up. I get what you're saying. But
It's
at the
kinda
same
hard
time,
go ahead.
at the same time, like if you hold them back, like Patrick is saying, like what if they never get to be famous?
What if your child a great singer and her dream is to be a singer? You cut it out from that instance.
She
Now
gets
for the rest
noticed.
of her life, all she does is sing in airports, and not that that's a bad thing, but she could have had a top thing because at this moment she was recognized and somebody was willing to take her under his wing and help her become big. But because he said no, now she has an attempt to do what millions of people across the United States are trying to do and make a name for themselves. Like she was playing Monopoly and got a chance card. Go straight to go, collect 200. You took that away from her and said,
You're gonna learn
get
the
to
hard
go by
way."
yourself.
You're gonna learn the hard way.
Yes, because you might accidentally land on another chance and might make you pay the bank $50. We don't want that.
I just want my kid to have a normal childhood. So I just don't know if that would happen if they start that early.
Oh, it would not.
It
happen.
wouldn't happen.
It would not happen. But now you got to weigh the positives and the negatives of
Yes.
being a famous superstar or being
Yes,
a
it's
regular.
like a lottery ticket.
Yes.
Right? You go to the 7-Eleven, you buy you and your child a lottery ticket. Right? Your child marks his off. He just won $5 million. You said nope. Throw that away. What is Justin Bieber doing now?
I don't even know what he's
Nothing,
doing
because
now.
he's like basically
Yeah.
retired because he sold millions of copies. So at this point, all he really does is hang out with his new wife at their mansion, and he just got some. I just read the other day that he got some like super rare cat, and he's being sued because apparently it's like against the law. He got some like, right? But
That's the life you want for your
yeah,
kid.
he can retire now. He's like done. Rather than yours, you're like nope, regular childhood, and hopefully you'll make it.
if it comes early, it comes early. So you have to, whenever they can start, they can start. Like you do whatever you can. I say you let them start at a young age.
I agree.
Gotcha. So I have another
But
question.
you
I know
have to
this is-
parent them the right way.
Right.
You do have to 100% parent them. Right?
Yeah.
And you have to
Right
pretty
before you
much
say-
like you're done though. Whatever
Oh.
you were doing, like basically you're their manager.
Oh, yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
follow
I mean, up
them
until a
around.
point.
Your life has now their life.
Yeah.
And I think the parents that don't do that are the ones that have the kids that are
I think it's that, and the parents who
Off.
get caught up in that life too.
So like my example for that is gonna be like the LeVar Ball.
Correct.
Like he's way too involved in Lonzo's life, and Lonzo doesn't get to live his own life and make
Yes.
his own choices as a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
Is this basketball player?
Yes.
And this is the dad that
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, I already know. The dad
Yeah.
that and he like interviews for him practically.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Lonzo would just sit there with his hat
Uh-huh.
on and
All
just
awkwardly.
awkward, just sit there and not say
Yes.
anything.
There is that fine line, of course, but you still have to be a parent.
Oh, yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
still have to teach them the right way, but you don't want to get caught up in life
Yep.
and show them the wrong way. But I do think that, yeah, you're giving up a quote-unquote normal life, but possibly for a life that's, a 1% chance that you'd
Oh.
ever have that life.
100%.
I mean, I'm a beautiful singer. I just haven't met a record label.
I tried, but I tried to keep a straight face and listen to you. Couldn't do it. But I did have another question on top of that. So I know they're running a little long on this one, but my thing is so what if the kid has talent? They're not like immediate superstars. They have somewhat talent. You're like, man, this kid might be able to make it. Do you push the kid to then try to become famous? or do you just kind of sit back and hopefully something happens?
Well, not if it's not their passion. If they don't want to do it, then you don't
But
make
what
them.
if it is their passion?
Oh, well, then you help them.
I think what he's kind of saying though is do you like stand over them with
Yeah.
like a whistle and you're like get to
No.
work, or because you know that essentially
They
it
have
could
it in
lead
them?
to something great,
No.
or do you kind of just sit
'Cause
back and
those are the
whatever
ones
happens
that I
happens?
think that freak out. Those are the ones that feel the pressure and go crazy. No, you don't put the pressure on them.
I mean,
Not even a little. Not even a little
You
pressure.
let them enjoy it. You have to let them enjoy it. Those are the ones that end up being a little more normal.
I mean, Joe Jackson pressured his sons, and they're one of the greatest men of all time, Jackson 5s.
But they
Jackson
also,
5 and
Mike went a
Michael
little
Jackson.
crazy though.
A
You know what I
little
mean?
crazy, but that's what you're saying. Like, that
Hanging
pressure.
babies out the balcony.
and they talk about that they hated it sometimes. They hated
Yeah,
practicing.
because of how much
Just
they
like
show.
on Selena, like they hated the practice. They hated it.
That is such a hard line because like those are excellent comparisons because Michael Jackson they hated it and they kind of turned out crazy.
Yep.
Selena hated it, but they kind of turned out like icons,
Yep.
and they didn't. Turn
And she
out
could have,
crazy.
and she could have easily not been super famous
Yes.
if her dad wasn't as
Both of them could have,
Yep.
easily have not been famous and been living regular lives, serving French fries at Sonic while
Mm-hmm.
at 16.
I think you got to put a little pressure.
I think you light a little bit of the spark.
Yeah.
I don't think you whistle at them and you're
Uh-huh.
yelling at them, but you have to light a little bit of a spark.
Yeah.
You do, because I think you do that with almost anything. Like,
Right.
Right. Anything at all. Like, you got to push them a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Mom, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do band or sports or nothing. I literally want to do nothing. I feel like you do got to kind of push them a little bit.
So they can find their passion. I guess it's kind of like looking back, like sports. Like, my parents pushed me. I wish they would have just pushed me a little bit this way because I
see?
think I would have loved it.
Yep.
Yeah, so I could see it.
yeah.
My mom, if I told my mom I don't want to do anything, she would have shoved a bat in my hands, a glove, kicked me out, and been like, figure it out. You're going to figure this sport out.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to just sit here and do absolutely nothing. You are insane.
Yeah, because even my parents too, said like, you're gonna join something, some kind of elective is what you're gonna do, for your high school too, because you're gonna love it, right? And so yeah, I probably wouldn't have pushed myself either to done any of that if my parents didn't push me and say, hey, you know what, do this.
Try it. At
Yeah,
least.
try it, and you fall in love with it, and then I think what you're doing is you're trying to push them to the point that they're willing to push themselves.
Yes.
and
To
you
want
gotta
more.
get to that point. Yes.
To want more. Because that's something I've always loved sports, and as a kid, I loved sports. So my parents never had to pressure me into sports. But the one thing they did do was pressure me to do more than the bare minimum. No, don't just practice at practice. Practice at home. You know what I mean? And that's something that helped me too.
And I can still beat him in basketball. It's super crazy.
That's completely false.
I don't know.
Madden, yes. Real NBA basketball, no.
That's not what his ankles say when I'm breaking them.
That was
We're
hurtful,
gonna stop
actually.
that right there. I'm just kidding.